Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to the LC Transfer Room. My name is David, Kev, Anil, and Stu. Welcome in tonight. It's another hot day in England, but Stu is back on the Liverpool top instead of the tank top tonight. Is sort of kept it reserved. We had a few complaints. Last week saying it wasn't past watershed time. So, unfortunately, tune into the late night ones for Stu. For late night Stu. How you doing, boys? How you doing? Anil, first time you've been on my stream. Nice to meet you, and nice to have you on the stream tonight. How you feeling anyway? How you feeling? Nice to see Slot in the press conference there, wasn't it?
I think it's interesting because he was saying a lot of good things. I like how he speaks, and I think he comes across really well. And what he was saying about transfers and stuff, he was saying like how the squad is really good, but it'll be a surprise if there was like no signing. So I think that sounds good to me. That sounds good.
He does speak very, very well, Kev. I mean, that's the best thing I can say about Slot. He might not say what everyone wants to hear, but he does speak very well. And it's quite brutally honest with what he says, which is good.
Yeah, and there's a bit of character to him as well, which is not what you see with many Dutch managers that come over here. He seems to be a little bit robotic, to say the least. But no, all what he says, I was expecting. It's middle of the range, kind of the way he is. He's not going to come out and tell us exactly what's going on, but he's kept it short and sweet. I like the way he answered the Trent situation of where he sees him playing and his contract talks, and he kept down. Went, I'll never speak about contracts. We'll just hope that things move forward. That's what you want out of your manager. It's a little bit different to what we've had for the past 8 years, but time have changed. It's refreshing, and you can see that in the players as well. So no, all good.
The thing is with me, we Klopp and Slot, as long as they match each other's ambitions and match each other's like sort of feel with the club, I think it's all good. I mean, you're going to get different people regardless. You're not expecting Klopp to come in and be like, the way to come and be the normal one. You're not going to get that, unfortunately. And Slot's good in his own way, and I think he's quite articulate with the words that he says. He's very good with the press at the moment. There's still time for James Pearce to get on his bad side at some point, but over the years, Stu. What was your response to Slot's press conference today, pre-match press conference for Betis game?
Well, to be fair, the same as Anil and Kev, he comes across very, very well, very articulate. I say pretty good sense of humour as well, and I think that's quite important. It helps settle a new manager into the new process of like sort of dealing with the English press more than anything else. The way very professionally answered like the questions about Trent, about the rest of the squad, about transfers and things like that. So yeah, to be fair, I haven't got a bad word to say at the moment. From what I've seen of the videos of the training sessions that they've put out, all the players seem pretty pumped up and excited to like sort of get going. So it all looks pretty decent at the moment.
I think we've seen a little bit glimpses, haven't we, in the Preston game? We saw a couple of highlights. That's what it is. It's basically highlights. We saw a couple of passages of play, a decent passage of play, but again, a bit dodgy at the back, conceding the goal. I know it was a wonderful goal in the end, but it was still a bit of a dodgy play to leading up to it. But we're going to see it properly this week against Real Betis. Obviously, we played them Saturday morning. Is it Saturday morning? Early on in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. If you stay up, fair play to you. But if you don't, I mean, you're staying up watching probably a legal stream, so good luck with that anyway. So yeah, but I'm excited to see the football. I am excited to see the football, but again, when it comes down to transfers, when it comes down to improvements, I think they need to be done. And I think there's glaring areas in the team that are, to us, we've watched them last season, we've seen the glaring areas. And number 6, obviously, the CDM is the number one. It's been number one for me since last season. I did a video on it. And if we don't address that, Anil, what do you think? That's a very, very a huge mistake. I said it was a huge mistake last season, but no matter this season, do you think it's going to be even worse?
Yeah, I think we have to. I think we have to get the CDM in because I think Endo, he did a good job last season, but we need that world class DM. I mean, ever since Fabinho was gone, I don't think we had that. I think like in terms of defense as well, I think they're a lot more solid when you've got a top DM in front of them. I think that's definitely the area where like I know we're thinking about centre back, left back, and a wide attacker and other positions like that, but the DM is the one where we have to get like a top player in.
Kev, I'm just going to go over what Slot said in the press conference regarding like transfers and the player caliber of transfers. He said standards are high to bring in new players. It's not easy to find players higher than what they've got now. Is there better sixes out than what we've got now in terms of Ender? If you're looking at Badgers as 6, I still see Badgers as number 8, and definitely Maka as a fair forward player. Is there better sixes out there, do you think?
He is, but he's not going to come out and go, I've seen these number 6s here and these are a pile of wank. He's not. He's going to be have a little bit of decorum soon and put it out there that, you know, what I've got is the best I've got. And the only way I can get better is by bringing potentially glittering stars to come in and Galacticos, if a word to use. That's what you've got to do, and that's what I want from my manager. The only way we can improve this and upgrade is by bringing in the best, and that's what I like to hear from the manager. The manager come and that's where that's the way how he's answered that question in a way that makes it sound. It gives an upbeat to the players that are already there, who is fighting for the squad position, but also sends out a message that we're not looking for anyone. We're not looking for box standards. We're looking for quality players to come in and to get the job done. But that kind of quote comes with money as well, and it depends if that money is available and is at his disposal. Do you know what I mean? So, and if it is, then it works well. But I didn't expect him to say anything else. If I'm being perfectly honest, Dave, I think it'll be a bit harsh in his first conference in the preseason before we've even played, and he's already calling out plays.
I mean, I get there. Yeah, I know. You know what? You're absolutely spot on because he's not going to say look this and that. But I think I'm getting sort of PTSD from what Klopp said 2 years ago when he said, "Oh, look, we don't need a midfielder. Look how many midfielders we got." But it was literally more quality over quantity. Quantity at that point over quality.
Yeah.
And the amount of arguments I had about saying we need a midfield and saying, look, even Klopp said we didn't need a midfield. But then the season played out and it's like the midfield just crumbled.
But it could do, but you could also say with hindsight now that there's certain things that Klopp's done that kind of backfilled players and, you know, bringing in players like Thiago and stuff like that, not necessarily Klopp players, but has filled a void to sway the argument away from what is actually needed. I think it's right the way he's answered it differently, and he answered it more smartly for me in a sense that it gives the focal point to those here going, wow, the only way I'm getting replaced is by a worldie. And it gives them a bit of an upbeat, and as well as that, you know what I mean. So, you know, it's good how he's answered the question,
and he's opened that door for change as well. If that makes sense, where Klopp didn't do that
exactly, and he hasn't closed the door on anything. And as he said later on in his conference, I'll be highly devastated. Surprised. That's it. If we don't have any, so you know, again, we were told by the club. It'll be August. As I said last night on stream, we, like petty kids in our cot, threw all our toys out and went, no, we want one in July. And the club have gone, no, you're getting it in August, so deal with it. And now we've got no toys and we're just frustrated. So, you know, that's the way it comes across at the minute. And as I said last night as well, I do think that we may only get 1 or 2 in, and we may see more coming in maybe in January and next summer because of how disjointed, not only for ourselves but for other clubs. If you only have to look at Arsenal's pre-seasons, they're all over the place and it's chaotic. And the amount of players that are out from everywhere, everyone's not getting their full squads back until August time. So it's a difficult time to assess where you need to go unless you are a Man City or an Arsenal. You've got a manager, you're not going through transition like what we are. You're not playing up. You're not trying to catch people up because you didn't finish in the top 4, so you're having to play catch up to everyone else. I think we're in a good position. I just think, you know, it just takes time. Unfortunately, we need patience, which is something that we don't have at the minute.
It's going to be a tricky season because we're expecting here slots here. You can't go below third. There's no way you can go below third. We can't let Tottenham or Aston Villa or Man United or Chelsea, for example, to go above us. Mm-hmm. But again, it's also sort of starting from the fresh with a new manager, new place behind. He's also got a new system, But it will fall on Slot in the end if it doesn't go right and someone does finish above us. That shouldn't be finishing above us. But Stu, he said himself today in the press conference, team is good enough to complete their ambitions. What is their ambitions here?
Well, I think I've said it before. I think from a fan's perspective, our ambitions definitely no lower than third again. It has to be Champions League qualification. On the inside, the club's ambitions, the way I read the comments, I believe that they're looking at a title challenge again. So, okay, another year of experience after a title push last season. Could we push it on with the same squad and no signings? I think that would be unwise. And it all comes down to that central defensive midfielder. Comes down to that. We still need that one player. If we're going to seriously push for the title, that is what we need at the end of the day.
I mean, we sort of pushed, didn't we? We sort of pushed and then sort of like let out a fart. But
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what pretty much happened. But we got up to March and we sort of faded away. But
yeah,
if you want to top a title push, and this was under Klopp, by the way, as well. Klopp, we know how good Klopp is. So if it's under Klopp, I think sort of. It's being very careful again. Like Kev said earlier, he's being very, very wise with his words here. He said, complete their ambitions. Is that, that's sort of opening the door for, their ambitions. Is it title race? Is it top four? Because you can't sort of say, oh, you're wrong about that because you don't know what his ambitions are when he said that. He'd be very clever with that. And obviously, I think we've all been happy with third at the moment. And then maybe good cup runs for now in the first season of Slot and then next season really push the title. But do you really think we can push the title with this squad right now with no signings?
I think the squad is strong. They're just missing a few. There's just a few areas where we can strengthen. So, I think with the players we got, and obviously we got Carvalho coming back, we might be a good asset to the squad. Vandenberg could be solid option. And we've got obviously players like Tyler Morton as well. So I think the squad looking good. I just don't know how we're going to do it without getting a top DM in.
I think we're all in agreement regarding the DM situation. Jamie says, would Edison be a better than Endo or just a new shiny toy? I don't like the phrase shiny new toy because Van Dijk was a shiny new toy. Alisson Becker was a shiny new toy. Sometimes shiny new toys are sometimes the way to go. I just put a shiny new toy onto it. Makes it seem like everyone's just crying for a new toy. Make it sort of childish the way you want in a transfer. But when really, you do actually need these transfers sometimes. I'm just going to go to Elias. Evening, a very special greeting to Damon, who I know is concerned about FSG and their finances. Right now, there are 2 clubs in the Prem that haven't invested in the transfer window. I don't ever expect FSG to invest their own money anyway. I mean, our club makes enough money single-handedly. We're on par now, taking over Manchester United in terms of commercial wealth. But Fulham will soon finalise their deal. That's a very good signing for Fulham, by the way.
Yeah. I agree.
Jota is coming to the US today, also revealed in the press conference. Yeah, and Canate is as well. But unfortunately, Andy Robertson is out for the whole tour. Kev, left back is actually a place where people have been saying, we need to get rid of Simicast, bring in someone like an Ait Nouri or someone like that, or Tyrone Mitchell. Should we address that left back? Obviously, we're talking about DM, talking about centre back, but left back sort of been pushed aside a little bit, hasn't it, in terms of talk?
It has. I think also, I'm more intrigued to see what our formation is and see how these players are actually going to be playing and the start of formation and where he sees people to be playing. The problem you've got now is that you've got a very young side and a very young squad that's gone over, and you're not necessarily going to get your starting 11. Your spine, as you say, to be playing, and they're only going to get one game. I think Timicus looked. I'm his biggest critic, but as I said last night, under Klopp it didn't work. Maybe under a new manager, a new formation, and new ideas, his actual brain cell may start working, and you may actually see a better player. And we all, and that's all we want. We want to see that happen. And I'm quite happy to sit here and people to ridicule me for calling him out if he has a worldie of a season. But that's down to him. That's down to his mentality, and it's down to him to show that. Also, Owen Beck's there as well. So Owen Beck's got an opportunity to lay his, to put a dilemma in Slot's mind. There'll be no doubt that will already be looked at and it'll be reviewed. And I do think that there may be an upgrade coming. But if we don't, and we see Costas play better and play more better in a style of football that suits his style of game, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, it's down to these now that are there to show the manager that you don't need to go out and sign players, which is why taking your time and assessing the squad is a lot better and shows that you're actually trying to show that you are trying to give everyone an opportunity rather than coming in and being gung-go and bringing in your own players that you want, which then upsets the boat, if you know what I mean. So he's going about it in the right way. Maybe not what we want, but I'll be happy to see where it ends up. And if it means that Costa stays and is number one, then that's fine. But we'll wait and see. I'll hold my breath when August 17 comes along and see who's playing.
I have a question on this.
Go on.
Do we keep all three left backs this season at the club?
I personally don't. I personally see one going possibly on loan, unless he shows that he's got the opportunity.
Andy
Robertson. I would see Robbo playing more of a James Milner role in coming on in the last 10, 15 minutes of games to slow things down, ease his body, don't give him the pressure. I actually see one of them going, and we bring in a quality left back, Al Nouri, for me, who I think is quality, young enough, progressive enough. But it's down to what Slot wants and how they fit in. I'm happy to turn around and say no and be criticised, and Costas plays an absolute boss. I'll be made up. It then means we don't have to go out and spend money in an area.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we've got a player that can do that, and it gives us more money to spend elsewhere within the squad, and probably upgrade to a better player in the middle of the park that we're all crying out for. But no, for me, if you're asking me personally, in my opinion, that's what I'll be doing: putting on one on loan, one to leave, and one to be like a James Milner.
Regarding Simicast though, Kev, you're absolutely spot on. Regardless, you've got a valid point of your opinion on him now, because that's what he's only giving that opinion by his performances. It's not. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the only time he's actually proved me wrong this season was when he was consistently playing, and that'll be the problem that you've got. That will be put as an argument. The problem is that when he's been given his opportunities, he's been taken off after 45 minutes. Brentford away being one, where he was absolutely poor and gave away sloppy, and we got beat 3-0, 3-1, and he was making defensive errors for two of their goals. He's been harped off many a time. He doesn't play in the big games. He's not much of a backup, or has been much of a backup. But last season, he proved that before his injury against Arsenal, that he could actually do a job. And that the problem is you can't give him that opportunity, and it must be difficult to be playing. But what made it worse for me is we're playing in a group stage in the Europa League against mediocrity, and at no point in those games did he look better than any of them, which is what I was looking for. So for me, and that's for my own personal view. That's the reason why I came to that opinion, that I don't like him. And when you've got Trent and him playing at the same time, you have weakness on the left as well as on the right, in backup positions, because you've got no pace. And it's great that he gets forward, but there's a lack of desire and lack of pace in himself to get back and get back. And that proved it against Leeds, where we get beat 2-1 in the final minutes against them at home. he was at fault around that as well. So there's been times where, it's not based on I don't like him, full stop. But I'm quite happy for him to go out this season and prove me wrong. And if he can, do you know what I mean? That's all I want. It's a new manager, new fresh of ideas, and hopefully his brain cell will work. Fingers crossed.
He was bought as a backup one in. It's hard to be being backup someone like Robbo, because Robbo was literally the best left back in the world at the time, and he actually came in really, really well. He started really well. He actually pushed Robbo he gave Robbo a little bit of a wake-up call, a little bit like Diaz did with Mane, but since then, it's I think it's more complacency as well with Tsimikas. He thinks he got that spot, and is now the Greek Scouse, and he's comfortable where he is, but he can't get complacent. It's where, I'm hoping Slot wakes him up a little bit. Santino, thank you for the $5. It also brings the value up on the players we don't have in the future going, equals future Edwards special. Hugh said August, the fans don't listen. I mean, yeah, it's a catch-22 at the moment with the fans, because we all do want, I sort of get the frustration, we all do want the signings. And again, with pre-season starting, we should really have some signings, at least one signing in for pre-season. And we've made these mistakes many times where we've not got them in for pre-season. Endo last season was a perfect example. But we didn't see Endo until October in the Premier League, and we had to play Maka out of position, and that's your issue. Then you're not getting people fitness, you're not getting people up. I get that, but I'm also quite patient in terms of if you said this August, he better fucking get his stuff done in August, because if you don't get that done, I tell you, if he's kicking off now. Coach here said, why would we not just spend a little 15 million Juve centre back? We would need Pepe to sit and mould, learn from Virgil to be. I mean, 12 million on a centre back, you might not be able to. If you're replacing Virgil at some point here, Coach, a 15 million pound centre back might not be that. Way to go. Anil, now Bournemouth make a great deal. We're not improving. So Anil, where do you see the first signing be? If the first signing is, like you said, Slot said today, it'd be surprised to see that there'll be no transfers at all. Do you think it is going to be a DM and centre back, or would a left back be an option for Slot right now?
Can you repeat that again? You're saying left back.
So where do you think he's going to look at then? Do you think he's going to be a DM first? Because he's already spoken how important DM is in his teams.
I think it would be DM, because I think all the noise from the journal, I think from Athletic, they were saying that the DM is going to be the priority, and so I think that area has already been identified. Whereas left back, I'm not sure if that's going to be seen as a priority area.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because ideally, 4 transfers would be perfect. I mean, you got your CDM, you got a centre back, backup Verge. You need your backup for right winger, and I would honestly get rid of Tsimikas and bring in and someone like N8 Norrie, like Kev said. For me personally, that's me sort of being brutally ambitious as well, rather than just being. I think bare minimum is probably a centre back and a DM. Someone mentioned Edison earlier. It's going to be a very, very funny season with this, because I've seen people saying like Maka playing 6. I do not want to see Maka at 6 in my entire life. And if you still think if you still think Maka should be playing 6, then I'm sorry, you should go to Tiddlywinks. It's not football. Anil, who do you see starting in pre-season at 6? Curtis Jones again?
Who am I excited to see?
Yeah, who do you think we'll see against Betis, for example?
I think I'm interested to see how how the young players do. So there's a lot of good young players from last season, and even the players coming back from loan.
Yeah,
like Owen Beck and Vandenberg. I'm interested to see how they were doing the games. I
mean, Vandenberg at the moment has been set up. He's been set up to it. He really has been set up to be like the guy here, Stu, because they came out the other day in training saying like he's a standout in training. Is that really fair on him as well to put him on that? Or is that just to boost him for him?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a marketing ploy, just to raise the value up a little bit. I think for the game, he's probably going to go for a young start. I would say I don't think it's going to be obviously Well, it can't be actually. It can't be the sort of the full first team because most of our first teamers are missing, and with Jota and Canate only arriving today, or is it tomorrow?
So you might see a bit part from them, won't you?
They're not going to be starting because they haven't even trained. So I think it's just going to be the youngsters going out first, and obviously Salah and a couple of the older guys and more experienced ones. But the other day, it's just more about the PR and fitness more than anything else.
Yep.
I'm not overly fussed about the result or anything like that. If somebody does have a standout performance, brilliant. I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, result doesn't really matter. Just want to make sure the players get through and get fit.
The best thing about preseason is those that youngsters are those people that are just in the background, the fringes. Their chance to prove themselves and really stake a claim. Like there's always going to be a standout in preseason. I think Dirk was a standout a few seasons, like a season ago. Bajcetic again coming back from a big injury. It's going to be huge for Bajcetic because a huge injury like that for someone so young can take so much off of them, especially mentally, not just physical but mentally. Kev, Bajcetic, where do you see him going forward? I mean, again, we're talking about the 6, but do you think he's too? I think he's too technically gifted to be started at 6. If I'm honest, I think he's too technically gifted going forward. Would you like to see Bajcetic in a bit of a more advanced role?
I would like to see at some point on this tour, Bajcetic and Naoni, who the pair of them would be fantastic to play. I think with Bajcetic, he's missed 18 months with his injuries, and he hasn't really. We haven't seen enough of him. We've seen glimpses, and then he's being injured. So this would be telling to see how he is. He looks the physicality. Trent Naoni looks superb. He looks quality. A year older than what he was last year. Obviously, it'll be quality to see these players getting in. And I'll be happy to see one of them. Again, it will then determine where Slot sees Bajcetic because he may not start where, as you say, as the number 6. He may start as number 8. You never know. But this is the opportunity in pre-season, as Stu quite rightly says. It's not about the results. It's about finding players who can play in square pegs rather than round pegs in square holes. So it's for me, it's about developing the players and seeing how versatile some of these players are, because at some point some of these are going to be used, whether in the Carabao Cup or within any of the cup runs that we have. It's integral to see what to do with these youngsters. We've got the potential of quite a few of very good players. We just need to see how many will be part of this squad and how many will be sent on loan, because at the end of the day we need to find out backups for within the squad players who can come in and provide us minutes, because they're also as vital, if not more important than the first 11, because they will be needed. And Bajcetic, for me, hopefully, ideally, I'd send them out on loan. The logic thing with him would be to put him on loan for 6 months and bring him back after January and assess it then. That gives him game time, gives him the opportunity to be playing. It gives him a fact, and then we bring him back into the floor if he's done really well. Van der Berg, an opportunity, if he excels, for us to increase the price if we do see him going. So there's a lot of things. It'll be nice to see Nat Phillips play as well, for the 60 grand a week he gets. So,
he's got to do something. He's got to pull his weight a little bit. You've got to make a good point. That the guy's sitting on his backside playing, getting 60 grand a week, man. I mean, he's not even at the level of Liverpool's ever had. It should have, really. It won one little thing against in the Champions League against AC Milan. That was it. He's living still off that somehow. You make a good point about Bajcetic getting out there and getting a loan, possibly just get that fitness back up as well and getting back into game. Yeah. I mean, Championship would be perfect for him. If it was going to be a loan, Championship perfect. It's a tough league where he's going to be getting tackles like that.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do. That'll be the common sense approach to do. But it depends how well he plays. If he plays really well in the pre-season, it then gives Slot a dilemma then as to what do we do? Do we keep him? Do we send him out on loan? And that's the kind of dilemmas that you're hoping pre-season gives. It doesn't matter to me if we lose all three, because it doesn't matter as long as we find out where we're up to and where these squad players are, and where the potential is in the little gems that we've got. I'm more than happy for us to go into the season on the back of three losses. Doesn't necessarily mean that's going to continue into season.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But we all want to win. It's great when we win, but it doesn't really matter in pre-season. It's all about fitness. It's all about understanding the new position. It's more intriguing for me to see the difference and the similarities. Is there going to be more similarities to the way Pep plays, or is it going to be similar to the way Klopp plays? Are we going to be more aggressive in the final third, more aggressive than what City are, or are we going to be in the gegenpressing, an alternative to that? And it will also. It's just great just to see the youngsters playing, given the opportunity to go out on tour and and spend some time as part of the squad. Who knows? Half of these could end up playing for the first team. Who knows? But that's the hope, isn't it? And it shows that there is a pathway for the youngsters that, if you do well at under 21 level and you get your head down, knuckle down and discipline yourself, you get these great little opportunities to go away and take on tours. Because, let's be honest, majority of these players won't be seen after in the next 2 or 3 years, sadly. And, it's just nice to see a few of them. And, even if we get beat 5-6-0 and we've got all youngsters playing, don't give them loads on social media. Like, do you know what I mean? It's only a pre-season game. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, all we want, whether it comes from transfers, whether it comes from youngsters, whether it comes from players that we've already got, all we want is just the best players on that pitch, given the best chance of that, any manager that we have to win the big trophies. We may have like stars in Bacecic. We may not have to go out and get a signing, for example. But again, also, it doesn't mean that because we've got youngsters that we don't need a signing as well, if that makes sense. We need a good mixture. It's always been a proven point where you need a good mixture of youngsters coming through and signings. And this is how like Fergie kept Man United at the top. They didn't keep Man United at the top by just relying on youngsters every year. He mixed it up. He made a signing. He lost the league to Chelsea. Said, right, that's it. I'm going to win that league that season. Got Van Persie. That's a statement signing. And those are the signings you need to make it and say, look, hang on a second.
It is, but he could have had Robert Lewandowski and left a legacy. Instead, it was all about him. Yeah. He ended up buying a player who's at the end of his career. So, that doesn't bode well for what was left behind him, because he just left a deteriorating squad, which is different to what Klopp's done. Klopp's left a club in a very good place and a lot of very, very good potential players, a lot better than what Ferguson left Man United, who were still struggling now to get back to where they were when Ferguson left. So, it's all very well mentioning Ferguson, but, let's remember his last days, it's all about me and I'm going out on the top. And
he did. He knew exactly what we're doing. And you know what? I think he overperformed with that team anyway towards the end. He was having like fucking centre midfielders and centre back at half the time as well at points. Going forward then, guys, if you are new to the stream, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. What's going to come first? 15,000 subscribers or Liverpool signing? Let's make it possible. Let's do a challenge, guys. If you can get to 15,000 subscribers before we make a signing, we'll do a little maybe a giveaway, something like that. So we'll do something for you guys. That's your challenge. You got to beat Arne Slot to the race here at the moment. It's LSE Transfer Room fans against Richard Hughes right now. The clock is ticking. Before we do, make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel. If you go on Twitter, come over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel and like the video as well. Moving on to Trent now. Also, there's been Trent discussion the last few weeks, and last week we spoke about Real Madrid really been pushing for him. His best mate Jude Bellingham's over there. It makes sense for him if he wants to be ambitious, or if Liverpool don't look like they're going to win the title anytime soon. Then Trent, fair enough, go across there. But today, also the news coming out from I think Paul Gore saying that Alexander-Arnold doesn't seem like he's going to go anywhere soon. Liverpool are certainly not wanting to sell him, and he wants to be part of the next generation, push the next generation, and take that sort of Anderson Milner role that we did. He's only young himself still here, but you can see that sort of scouse guy in him. He wants to be club captain. It seems quite clear that he's going to be club captain at some point, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Trent is generational. So like I wouldn't blame him if he starts thinking, he wants the Champions League. He knows that if you go to Real Madrid, you got a good chance to win Champions League every season. And he might have thought because Klopp's gone now and you're not sure about the direction that Liverpool are heading in. But at the same time, I'm just going to trust that because he loved the club and he wants to be captain one day. I think we'll be okay, and I think he will stay. I think he will stay at the club.
Which one do you worry about most, Stu? Obviously, you got Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent at the moment. Trent, I think we all agreed last week, didn't we, about Trent, saying it's just a scout sort of. It's mirroring like the Gerrard sort of thing where he had his talks of going to Chelsea possibly, but then it means more to him being at this club because this is his boyhood club. This is what he grew up in. He's going to stay. It seems quite clear he's going to stay. Do you think Salah and Van Dijk? Where do you lie on those two?
I think Salah will want to stay. Whether he will, I'm not sure. I can see us maybe extending the contract for another season, and then maybe next summer we'll look at potentially selling him. Whereas Van Dijk, I think Van Dijk will stay. He's captain of the club, and for everything Virgil has been saying in the past, I think he's indicated he wants to stay.
Stu, do you have any worries at all about any of these three?
Salah and Van Dijk, yeah, a little bit. Trent, no. I still think that he's just going to sign that contract. He will end up being club captain. He is going to be the scouser of the team. Like you say, following that Gerrard path, so to speak. Salah and Van Dijk, that's a tough one. But obviously, the club should never let it get to this point. It's bad contract management having your 2-star players in the final year together. I hope they both sign at least a 1 year, but ideally both of them signing a 2-year extension would be great, because then if they do want to leave next summer, then so be it. We could get a fee for them. I think that would be the most sensible option. Not ideal, but I think that would be the best for both parties, so to speak. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. I really don't know.
It gives me nightmares thinking about Van Dijk or Salah. I know Salah's going to retire at some point, Van Dijk's going to retire at some point, but these are the players that pretty much change the way we play. So the big signings were Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, Fabinho, I'd say, in terms of changing the way from top 4 to title winners. These are the 4 for me. Obviously, Mane's up there, but Mane was the first Klopp signing, wasn't he? He was the first one to start it all off. But these 4 were the major top 4 title contender signings.
Yeah.
So to think them leaving it's difficult, and not knowing how do you replace those sort of players, because Kev, some of them are irreplaceable, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Well, unfortunately, some of them are Lamborghinis and Bugattis, and you don't replace any of them with a Nissan, a Nissan or a Toyota. Do
Smart car.
So you know what I mean? It's you got a place like for like. My only issue would be is Salah. I think it's smelling a bit like a Henderson of last season. He's come back fitter. He's proven his point. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does sign. I'd have them on a 2-year with an option of a 3rd. That plays a lot better, makes more sense, and it gives us time to find that replacement. Van Dijk can carry on with his positional sense, who plays a bit like Thiago at Chelsea, who's continued to these about 36, 37. There's no reason why he can't continue. But again, if you're replacing quality, you've got to place them with the best, and that's what you've got to do. Alisson is the one I fear most about. I do not want to lose him, because he's nearly on par with the best keeper at the club we've ever had, which is Ray Clements. And you've got you've got a goalkeeper who is absolutely wonderful and has has kept us in, and we only won the Champions League because of his save against Napoli, if we have it right. He is an absolute worldie of a goalkeeper, and these have to be replaced like for like. That's the only thing. I do not want an Alisson to be replaced by someone similar to a Kasper Schmeichel or a Ramsdale or a Raya. They're not good enough. They can't even fit his boots. You go out and get the best, and that's the only way you replace them. And it's a Rolls Royce with Salah. If he does go, you replace the player we bought, not the player he's become. Because you'll never get anyone who's hitting those numbers at this frequently time. You buy the player who was at Roma and Fiorentina, who's hitting those kind of numbers that are just under the radar, but there's potential for them to go higher. And that's what you do. And that's where Barcelona scuppered, because they tried to replace Messi with a Messi, which you can't do. You know what I mean? So it's being logical about it and having a common sense approach. That's the way I like to do it. And if you're going to replace Virgil, I'd replace him with Bastoni at Inter Milan, and try and get him in. That's the kind of quality I'll be looking at to replace him with. You've got someone young who can come in and do that. That's how I do it. But what do I know?
Okay, I was having nightmares about Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent possibly leaving, but then you throw Alisson into the stream. I'm sleeping with a nightlight tonight, I'm afraid.
No, but it's true, though. Do you know what I mean? And as Stu said, it's bad. It's bad in contracts. I think it's just bad luck all the way around. We got a manager who comes out in January. I don't expect any of your big players with contracts up to go ahead, then I'll just sign it and do a Garincha and go, I'll just give me a blank piece of paper. I'll just sign and you just fill in the rest. It's difficult, and it's been a struggle, and it's probably one of the reasons why we haven't gone out to buy anyone as of yet, because we need to assess those three players, and if one of them wants to go, then we have to make a beeline for that player to, if he goes, to have a replacement before we even announce that. So, hopefully they don't go. Hopefully they get 2-year contracts with an option of a third, and Trent signs a 4 or 5 year deal. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Electric Dream says, we haven't made a statement signing since Van Dijk and Alisson. I mean, this is what I worry about, really, Electric Dreams, where those statement signings need to come, but we haven't got Coutinho money, and that's my issue. That's where we've already, no one's. I've not doubted Michael Edwards. I've certainly not doubted Richard Hughes either. I think I trust Michael Edwards in working what he's got, but even he still needed that healthy sort of budget there with the Coutinho money to go out and get a Van Dijk and Alisson, the game-changing ones from top 4 to title winners. He's proven in that with a little bit of a healthier budget, look what he can do. Yeah, he might go out there, if he gets 30 million, so he might go out there and get a steal, but he's not getting out there and getting like an Alisson and Van Dijk, which sometimes we're doing it. A DM for me, that is that next statement signing for me. That is that Alisson, Van Dijk, that's your top 4 to title winning. Fabinho was that at that point. We didn't have Fabinho now. I would spend money on Kudus now. Hello, Pound says, young gunner to see. It's nice to see. It is nice to see rivals coming in here. I like to bounce off rivals as well and get other people's point of views. And those that are looking outside in as well. Not just Liverpool fans, people that are looking outside in, they might have a different view on certain things. I was also interested in Ruiz right now. I mean, if Arsenal get Fabian Ruiz, that's an absolute beautiful signing, if I'm honest. I've got to be absolutely honest here.
That makes Arsenal pretty damn scary for next season.
And Calafieri, if he goes in, that's a brilliant in terms of left back. If he is going to play left back, or even just a squad option, just a depth. If they do get injuries, Fabian Ruiz going off the bench when you got Rice there. It's to me that's a brilliant sign, and fair play to Arsenal. They've given Arteta the chance, they've given Arteta the money and said, "Here you go get some things," and they're always looking to improve off the pitch. Arteta does need to do something now. He certainly doesn't need to win something this season for him to prove anything, but he's really took Arsenal up from a laughing stock to a title challenger.
They still need a striker.
They definitely still need a striker. Oh yeah, definitely. I think Havertz is a very, very good player, but he's not out and out number 9. And Kev, actually, that reminds me, when you said about Salah not replacing his numbers, would you also look to replace his numbers elsewhere? Would you get a striker in as an example and replace those sort of numbers in a different position?
That is a posing question. We have to replace. We haven't really replaced Mane's numbers, really, if we're being honest and truthful. We definitely would need to replace Salah's. It all depends on the formation and where he sees Salah playing, and then what's required in this new team that we got. I would personally, I would look to find. And just looking at our final players, probably playing out out and out number 9 if we could. The problem is that you have that alternative, and then people were going, but why don't we go out and get Nico Williams? Why don't we go and do this? It's a tricky situation, and we have an abundance of talent, especially on the left hand side, in the front in the attacking sense. It's getting that to play and to have a balance. And at the minute, we're highly effective and highly relying on a 32, 33-year-old who could be leaving the club. And we haven't really addressed that situation. And that's a fundamental error in my respect, that we haven't got already. I hope we do have alternatives in if Salah does go, but we're relying on his numbers. We're relying on those 40, because if you ask anyone where are those 40 coming, people will say Jota's the best finisher in the team. But how many games does he miss? It comes down to the injuries, and and we've got Nunez. How many chances does he need to score those goals? Maybe about 1 million. Who knows? But it's a difficult. It's tricky, and that's why he's the manager, because he has to find that balance and find out, well, if we do sell him, what do we do with that money? Because we will, or what we get, and we have to replace with someone of that kind of ilk. The problem is, as I've said, we need a common sense approach. That's where you need someone with the pace. So if you look at what Salah came when he first came, you look at someone with the pace, someone who's got the attacking and progressive and has an end product. So it's all very well having doing a Luis Diaz, but if there's no end product, then I'm sorry. I want someone who's giving me numbers that are around between 15 and 20 a season over the last 2 seasons, and bring them in who's of a young age and has got a high ceiling. People have talked about Gordon. People have talked what's noticeable about the players that people are saying, it's pace, and that's what's missing. We are missing that Mo Salah that was willing to go down and take people on and get to the byline. You look at his goal against
direct.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't got that, and we've missed that at times. And it showed when all of our strikers were out of form, that he wasn't even doing that. And then we were running out of ideas because there was no kind of creativeness or anyone willing to take that on. And it's a shame, really. And that's where I see maybe he moves in his latter years to a new position that then opens up to someone young, progressive, fast, who can provide us with those kind of numbers. And that's the issue at the moment. And Mo, and that's where you probably are right. We may look at an out striker to balance the team, balance the creativeness, and those people can get crosses in, because predominantly you look at Feyenoord, a lot of it was crosses into the box to their number 9. He was scoring like 20 odd goals a season. If we can get Nunez tweaking, and it may need a few tweaks, but who knows? But it's an interesting one, Damon, and it'll be one to look at going forward and it'll be interesting to see where he plays him over the next 3 games, because that'll give you a key as to an indication where he sees him playing for the remainder of the season. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I've heard rumours that it'll be a false 9, or in a number 10 position. That may benefit him in his last years. People will go, oh, well, we are what? But then that leaves the right hand side open for someone young, pacey, and be able to do that. But it'll be interesting. It's difficult when you lose a Mane and you've lost a Fabinho, and you may lose a Salah
and a Bobby as well.
And to lose those kind of players and what they provided the team and the goals, people are struggling as to where those goals are going to come from, and that's where maybe the ruthlessness of Hughes may need to be shown, and we'll see how astute he is in the transfer window to address that. And who do you get rid of as well, and who do you bring in? But we do need, from what I'm seeing, someone with pace, a lot of pace, and a bit like the Spanish, basically.
So basically, Nico Williams.
Yeah. Or Yamal on the other side. You know what I mean?
I'll look at Yamal. I don't think that's enough. We can only dream, Kev. We can only dream. You already give me nightmares, dreams as well.
I'll start looking behind the couch for some money.
Centeno says here, can we talk about how much of failure Nunez has been? Who do we blame for that? Again, carried on from Nunez as well. I mean, Nunez could only look at himself, if I'm honest. I think Nunez could only look at himself. I think he's saying like, Klopp didn't get the best out of him. People think Slot's going to come in, he's turning into prime. He's going to turn into headband Torres. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. Klopp didn't make him miss from 1 yard against Luton. You know what I'm saying? It's not the formation. Formation changes nothing, really. I think Nunez needs to look at himself. Focus on himself. Focus on mentality, number one. Get some psychiatric help in terms of composure and being cool in front of goal. Yeah. That he can work on that himself. He needs to put in the graft. If he stays after he doesn't have to, but he can stay after training, works on his finishing. That's how the best become the best. It's how the best finishers in the world become the best. You know, Michael Owen did it when he was young. He trained his ass off to make sure he can finish it, and he practically finished every single shot he had in training. And that is on Nunez, I think. Now, if he wants, he's got a chance. Everyone, pretty much most of the fan base is giving him another chance here. You got a season to prove yourself. Go be that number 9 I want. You know, everyone's got his doubts on him, valid doubts as well, because he's not giving us any of hope. He's had his moments, but we can't rely on moments when you're fighting for title challenges. You can't rely on moments. You need to be consistent, and it's a shame we don't have like a prime Torres or a prime Torres to have this team that we had back then, because they didn't have that team.
Well, the way I see it, when it comes to the end of next season, that'll be 3 seasons with him, £85 million invested in him. Depending on what the results are at the end of next season, that's going to be the telling point.
It is, yeah.
Whether he stays or goes.
He can only do it himself, I think. I think he's got to just...
You're right. It comes like it's more up here now.
Yep.
Technically and physically, he has got it. He could do it. And he's proven that he could do it. He could score outrageous goals, but he can still score composed goals when he puts his mind to it. But that is definitely the mentality thing he needs to work on to even consider being a success. Otherwise, he's just going to keep on going backwards.
All our front players will score next season, I have faith. I mean, I have faith in Gakpo. I think Gakpo will improve in terms, if he becomes the proper left winger and the starter, I think he'll improve in terms of numbers. But Diaz and Arnold, what do you reckon about Diaz and Nunez? Do you think they'll start pushing the numbers in terms of goals?
I think Gakpo, as you said, definitely. He looked really good at Euros, and I think if he played in the proper position in left wing, I think he will flourish. Diaz, I'm not sure. I think he can do it potentially, but at the same time, I've seen too many performances from Diaz where he misses a lot of chances, similar to Nunez. So I would say maybe, but I'm not completely sure about Diaz. I think Gakpo I'm confident with. Nunez, again, another 50-50. It depends on if he can sort out his composure and put a goal. And then Jota depends on if he's fit, if he's available.
Yes, yeah.
We all know he's probably the best finisher in the club. Well, it depends on if he's available and how many games he plays, really.
I think behind in terms of finishing, behind Jota, I think there's Jayden Dance from honest in terms of best finishers out there. And funnily enough, he's a proper number 9. And if you're looking at Nunez number 9, it's not going to be that easy transition between them both because they're completely different players. I think Jayden Dance is a proper number 9, getting behind players and finish it off, clinical finish. He has the mind of a striker. You know, the way to turn with the ball. He knows where the goal is. And I don't think Nunez does. What do you think, guys, about João Gomez? I think he's the best available player out there. He's going to turn up into a top CDM in the future. We are going to talk about, in terms of Wolves and also, speaking of goal scorers as well, I'm going to go over this transfer news out of Danny Olmo today. La Gazzetta dello Sport came out saying there is interest from Liverpool and Manchester United £50 million plus, according to the report, Stu. Dani Olmo impressed in the Euros again. Another player that does get goals. And we said if Salah were to leave at some point, we need to get goals from elsewhere. Is Dani Olmo a player that you certainly keep an eye on?
Olmo's not a winger. He's not a winger. He's more of...
He's like a number 10, isn't he? Like attacking mid.
He's more like a Firmino style player. Don't get me wrong, he's an absolutely class player. And he was brilliant in the Euros. He was fantastic. Also, it was a shame what happened to Pedri, that he came in for the rest of the tournament for the Spanish, but he was brilliant. And he does produce the numbers, but he does have one weakness, and that's his injury record. And I've said it before, I don't want players coming in with checkered injury records, because that's something that we want to try and move our team away from, because that's happened way too much in the last few years. So it'd be nice to sign a few players that we could rely on. Just put it that way.
Gakpo nowhere near as good as Diaz. Gakpo is overrated on the wing, says Mike Johnson. Kev, Gakpo not better than Diaz?
You only have to look at Holland and how he plays and thrives in that Holland, and how he was joint top goal scorer, was he, or just below the top goal scorer?
Yeah, joint top. Yeah, 3-1 it. Yeah.
So what did Diaz do in the Copa America?
He saved his dad from crowd, I think.
Well, there you go. Well, we all have levels, don't we? So for me, I think Gakpo's going to thrive. I think Gravenberch is going to be one to look out for next season as well. Very young. I think with Gakpo, we think he's about 24, 25, but he's actually only 22, is he, or something like that? So, he's a young player, and, from what, in glimpses we saw what he could do, I think he's going to thrive. I think all the Dutch are going to thrive under Slot. So for me, Gakpo is ahead of Diaz to start at Ipswich away on that left-hand side for me, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'd say it now, he'll score far more goals and have more assists than what Diaz will have if he was to play. Not saying that I don't like Diaz. I do. I just want to see more end product, and that was my problem with him when he first started. Yeah. When he first came, it was great. It's about that end product. It's not the 90s and it's not the early 2000s where we'd love to see a winger who could get down the wing and but look what he did.
He didn't cross it in either, though.
No. That's the kind of pressure that needs to be put on Diaz. Yeah, you're good, but can you start putting something in the box or doing something? Now, I see videos of people putting videos of him of what he did against Everton, and you go, but he didn't have a shot on goal. And for all what he did, what happened at the end of it? Did we score? No, we never. Yeah, they hit the post twice, but they don't class as opportunities. They go down as misses and don't go down as shots on goal. He doesn't provide enough for me in that sense, and that's where I want to see more. It's refreshing that he is very talented, but that now needs to start to produce at the end of in the final third. And if that doesn't increase or improve, then I'm sorry, but that's where we need to open the door and let him go, and that's how it has to be. Sorry, so it's an easy one with Diaz, because I think a lot of people have jumped on that bandwagon with him because his dad's come out and said he wants to play for Barcelona. So we've already got a feeling that if there was one of them that was going to go, it will be
him. Yeah,
it will be him, because he has the desires to play in Spain, which I've got no problem with. But he goes on our terms. I'm challenging him, and I hope the Slot is as well, to go, look, it's great what you're doing, but can you start crossing it in and looking up and start trying to have more opportunities and creating more opportunities? Because if he starts doing that, we play better, he plays better, and everyone's happy.
I think you make a good point here, Matt Johnson. Yeah, Gakpo against England was terrible. I mean, he hardly touched the ball, and when he did touch the ball, didn't really do much of it. But again, that was one game out of the possible 5 or 6 he played, which was the standout mainly most of it. And the best thing, the difference between for me Gakpo and Diaz right now is Gakpo's not easy to defend against, and Diaz is easy to defend against. That's what I would say. I think defenders have worked Diaz out. All you got to do is show him on his left foot, and he's knackered. He don't really go to the bar line. when he does cut inside, he's cutting inside and not shooting. He's not in the shooting miles wide. If he is, I think it's quite easy to read at the moment. He has his games though against the Man City. That game against Man City, world class. And again, he still misses really easy chances, by the way, isn't it? And again, but when he doesn't have that world class game without the chances, then it sort of goes just absolutely missing. And that's the games where you need him to pick it. That's why Mane picked up and got the goals, wasn't it, Kev?
You want the consistency. You don't want the inconsistency. And we want to see 8, 9, 10 games of consistent quality play rather than the 8 or 9 games where he hardly does anything or produces anything or impacts the game. That's what I want out of him. And if he starts impacting more, then it'd be great. But I hope Mike is right, and it does suit Diaz's style. There'll be and this is what it'll be. It'll be certain tweaks, and for me, he was another one that doesn't suit the club style of football. So as well, because he doesn't defend as well. So his pressing isn't, although it's good in the final third, he doesn't get back to help out. And that's where you see alternatives. The likes of Nico Williams can do that. Anthony Gordon can get back and does get back. But that comes with an England price tag with it on top of him. So it's difficult. And I'm just challenging the player, and I'm just being there's a bit of critique with a lot of these players, but I'm open that with a new formation, a new manager, new ideas, that it's more refreshing and it bounces off them and they come in and start playing the way we want. Because then we can ask for the numbers we see we should be getting it off Diaz, which is, price tag wise, as Jamie says, around that 70 million. But at the minute, I'm not seeing enough to say that he is that. Yeah. At the minute, you're looking at about a 40, 50 million, which is slightly more than what we got. But you look at what he did with Porto, it's a different style of football that he played for them than he did for us. But we brought him on that as that was his interview, and he played well against us, especially at Anfield.
Well, so did Nunez.
Well, Nunez for me, I think Nunez is going to start it in the ground, and I just think it's. He adapted more to us than what we adapted to him, and we haven't helped that situation. And he was bought, I don't think, was never going to be a club player, but there was money there, and we brought him in. It coincided with City getting Haaland, so he's had that kind of competition. You have that. He's more streetwise, and you can see that within his first season, his temperament, and we've seen it this season with Uruguay away in the Copa America. It's. I agree with Stu. It's about getting someone's psyche into his head to calm him down and get him to score goals. The goal he scored against Brentford, strikers around the world are saying you don't do that. That's a 1 out of 10 chance instead of doing what should be normal. He doesn't look up half the time. But I think a different manager, a different way of looking at it, we may see it. But he gets an extra year because we signed him for 6 years and he goes into his 3rd year. And this is a season where we all want him to do well, and the fans will be behind him. We'll support him no matter what. Don't get me wrong; we'll have our head in our hands majority of the time. But at the end of the day, it's a new start, a new beginning, fresh pair of eyes on him. Maybe a different way of playing. Do you know what I mean? And we just need to see what happens with him. But I've got every confidence that he has the mentality and the quality to do that. We just got to start seeing it.
I've put my TV on Nunez insurance this season. Kev, it's on. If it does get smashed during the season, it's because of Nunez, and I will get paid out for it. I'll make sure of that. Speaking of left wings and goal scorers, before we do go, we'll talk about a little bit on the Wolves danger double swoop by Dean Jones, which is not really reliable source, but we're going to talk about it anyway. I mean, Pedro Neto and Nora is the 2 players that Liverpool are interested in at the moment. Pedro Neto, another injury-prone player, Neil. I know he's a goal scorer. It seems like a very, very good player on his day, but again, you're not going to go for someone like that, are you? That's injury all the time. And Neil, sorry, mate.
So Pedro Neto, I think he's too injury prone, so I wouldn't take him just for that reason. You just can't take a risk. Even though he is very good on his day, I just think that there's better options out there that we could go for. I would Nori. I would take him. But I don't think left back's a priority. I think we just need to make sure we get the areas that are the priority done first, and then potentially, I think, like I say, it depends on like Tsimikas goals or something like that. Then we'll probably go for him. But right now, I probably will see it the priority. So, yeah.
Kev, you said earlier you wanted Nori to replace Tsimikas, basically, but Pedro Neto is a no-go in it at the moment. It's not going to happen.
You look at his injury list, and he misses a third of the season, 18 games on average, and that's over 7 seasons, which equates to 89 days on average he misses a season. That's shocking for someone who's so young. And you look at the injuries, he's had two hamstring injuries, ankle injuries, knee injuries, muscle injuries. There is a question mark about that, and Anil's right. You know, it's you don't want, and as Stu alluded to earlier, we don't want another Thiago in to be bought and to be replaced, because he mirrors basically what we've missed out of Thiago. The only difference is that when Thiago came back, it looks as though he hadn't been away. That's the biggest downfall for me with Pedro Neto, and it's a shame really, because I think he's absolutely. Apart from that, I think he's been exceptional in the Premier League for Wolves. You look how we played against us in that first half before he got again injured. He was unplayable, and you know, that's great, and it's great to see. He's got the pace, he's got the tenacity, he's got the end product. Sadly for me, his injuries are just too high, and you can't afford to be paying the money that Wolves will want for him for someone who's going to miss a third of the season, because we will be playing roughly about 60 odd games this season, aren't we, going forward? So you can't afford you can't afford to miss someone of the money that you're paying out to be missing the amount of games that he'll be missing for. So it's a no for me on one of them. El Nori has been ever since he played for Wolves, and the way he's played against us, I've always been impressed. Of players that play against us, he's the one that I've been impressed. Mbuno was another one who plays for Brentford.
Yeah,
they've excelled for me, and I've shown, and I've been very impressed with how both of them play. El Nori, for me, going forward, quality player. There may be question marks about his defensive side of things, but he's young, he's versatile. I'll be all over him. He could also play left wing back, which could be an option in this team if we go 5 at the back, possibly. So there are alternatives to. There's more to him and more versatility to him playing on that left hand side, and I would be quite happy. Young enough, dynamic. What more do you want? So it'll be 1 out of 2 for me.
I'm surprised left back isn't a priority at this point, because of the fact that Andy Robertson sort of dropped off anyway, and Tsimikas just isn't at Robertson level. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised it's not a priority.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because if we start doing that, then we need a backup to, you know, is Keller a proper right backup to Alisson? We used to back up to Virgil. Do you know what I mean? So that's it. But you know, as the lads have alluded to, you want to get away from these people who are constantly injured, because it doesn't help you build a team or to get anywhere, because that's where the frustration comes in with these players.
Thiago, Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Matip, Kanate, Jota. It's a long list, and it's an expensive list as well.
Keita's the one that still gets me now, because Keita was actually class when he came in.
Oh yeah, he was awesome, but
he was the one I was excited about.
Yeah, and it's sad in both ways, because obviously it's a business investment, so it's draining money on the club because they're not getting what they paid for at the end of the day. But it's also bad for us fans, because we see players like Thiago and we know how good he is and what he can do, and we just didn't get to see enough of it. And that, from like an entertainment perspective, is really sad, because he's an absolutely class player, but we just didn't see enough of him.
Kuna for Wolves, I believe, has a high ceiling. It's a funny way of spelling ceiling there, Robert. Thank you everyone for joining in tonight's stream, and make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel. Again, we are on the challenge 15k subscribers before we get a signing. That is our challenge. Let's see, Transfer Room fan base. Make sure you get to 15k subscribers before we get a signing. It's you guys against Richard Hughes. So who's going to win? Who's going to win this race? Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Kev, Anil, Stu. Enjoy the Betis game at the weekend, guys. Enjoy the highlights of Stu. If you are watching it illegally, please enjoy it as well. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the sun, and you'll never walk alone, guys. Thank you.